I was in service at church, and there was a young man sitting next to me. And during the service, the pastor asked if people could testify to your neighbor something God had did in your life, a miracle. And so he began to share his life story with me, how it was a miracle, even how God saved him. We were worshiping together, and, he was on fire for God and everything. And I just love his spirit. And I could tell he was in his 20s, really young. So after service, he asked what was my name, and I told him, and he was like, well, I can tell you have been around in the spirit for some time. And I started laughing. And so anyway, we just began to talk and, talk about church, talk about God. And then out of the blue, I said, can you pray for my son? And he said, yes. Mind you, the son that I asked him to pray for was the same age as he is, because I asked him how old he was. So anyway, he began to pray. He grabbed my hand and prayed immediately. And he didn't just pray a short prayer. He began to go in, and we began to pray and touch and agree and to believe God. And later on, I found out that the same time we were praying for my son was in the midst of making a sale. You sell things on social media, Facebook Marketplace. He met up with some guys in Fort Worth, and they robbed him of what he was selling at gunpoint. And come to find out, I asked my son, well, what time did this happen? And sure enough, it was the same time that young man was interceding for him. Had that young man not prayed for him, had I not been obedient when I heard the voice of the Lord to ask him out of the blue to pray for him, who knows what could have went wrong. But see, that's the power of agreement. That's the power of prayer. That's the power of intercession. And